I'm not a lawyer, but have you heard of the Kentucky sheriff who shot and unalived a Kentucky judge in the judge's chambers and it was caught on video? Well, we are still in the very early stages of this case, so let me tell you what we know so far. This is Letcher County Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins, and on September 19th of this year, Steins shot and unalived this man, District Court Judge Kevin Mullins, in Judge Mullins' private chambers. Now, after the incident, Sheriff Steins was arrested and has since been charged with first degree. Now, of course, what a lot of people have been wondering is why this happened, and some of that was answered in today's preliminary hearing for the case. Just so we're on the same page, a preliminary hearing is one of the early steps in a felony case. Prosecutors, the defense, and the judge are all there, and prosecutors present the main pieces of evidence for their case, as well as a witness or a couple, and it's all to show the judge that a crime has been committed by the defendant. And then the judge's role in the case is to decide if there's enough probable cause for the case to move forward being prosecuted. So that is what today was for, and the witness that was called was Kentucky State Police Detective Clayton Stamper, who's the lead investigator on the case, and the main piece of evidence that was shown was the video from Judge Mullins' chambers. Now, I'm obviously not about to play this whole video because I'm not trying to get demonetized, but if you do want to watch it, I'm sure you can find it online. So the state's examination was pretty short because it really was just playing the video. And then the defense got to ask Detective Stamper some questions. And that's when we started to get a bit more information. So Steins and Mullins apparently had lunch earlier that day, and at some point, Judge Mullins asked Steins if they needed to speak privately. Now, the video that was shown in court was very quick, but according to the defense, the rest of the video that was not shown shows Sheriff Stein dialing his daughter's phone number from his phone as well as from the judge's phone. And from there, he pulls out his weapon. Here's some clips.
Of course, your investigation, did you ascertain that prior in the day there had been a lunch meeting between Sheriff Steins and Judge Mullins?
There was. It's a restaurant called Streetside, and it's just down the street from the courthouse.
And it's my understanding there were a couple of other people who attended the luncheon?
There were several, yes.
Okay. Are you aware of anything so far in your investigation that would tell us there was any issues at lunch between Judge
No.
Mullins and Sheriff Steins?
No. I was told that the judge made a statement to Mickey about, do we need to meet private in my chambers? That's all I was told.
So it's my understanding that in the larger portion of the video that we haven't had access to, that there is a point when Sheriff Steins asked to see the telephone of Judge Mullins.
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Have you reviewed or are you aware of the content of the phones?
I've not personally seen it because I've not received those reports yet. I was told that Sheriff Steins had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
And have officers confirmed that the sheriff's daughter's phone number was on Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
So that number had been called from Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But based upon your review of those moments prior to, when Sheriff Steins observes that cell phone, was he previously seated?
He was seated in front of the judge's desk.
Did he stand up after
Yes.
looking at the phone?
He stood up.
And how long after he looked at the cell phone and stood up did this occur that you played?
Just seconds.
Did you conduct an interview with Sheriff Steins' daughter?
I did not, but she has been interviewed.
With or without her parent?
With.
Law enforcement has not spoken to her without her parent present.
Not that I'm aware of.
You intend to obtain records for her cell phone number?
Possibly, yes.
Had you already intended to do that, or did you just respond to my question?
Well, the call should be on the judge's records too.
Well, I understand.
And she's made statements about what occurred during those conversations.
I understand that, but I would presume that, have you ascertained whether Judge Mullins also had apps that stand outside all phone records, such as Facebook?
Yes.
Okay. And that is not something that is captured by cell phone records. You would agree with me?
I agree.
So in light of that, Do you believe that you could also ascertain other information from the cell phone app content?
That could lead to additional search warrants, yes.
Have you determined whether there were any previous issues, personal or professional, between Sheriff Steins and Judge Mullins?
I've heard things, just that of this regarding the lawsuit that the Letcher County Sheriff's Office is currently involved with.
The lawsuit that involved ultimately a criminal conviction of a deputy for sexual behavior in the judge's chambers. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, and the subject matter of that lawsuit, the chambers area, that's the same chambers in which this occurred, is that correct?
I'm not familiar with the details of that case that the lawsuit resulted from.
Okay.
All right, so towards the end of that, you hear the detective asking the witness about a lawsuit. So a bit more context is Sheriff Stein actually used to be Judge Mullins' bailiff, but in 2018, Steins was elected sheriff, and so a man named Ben Fields replaced him as Mullins' bailiff. Well, fast forward a couple years, and in 2022, a woman files a lawsuit against Ben Fields, his known and unknown supervisors, and Mickey Steins, claiming that Ben Fields essayed her in Judge Mullins' chambers over a period of 6 months. I can make a whole different video about that lawsuit, but what you really have to know is that Sheriff Stein was also listed as a co-defendant in that lawsuit because the plaintiff claimed that as the supervisor of Ben Fields, Stein's failure to properly train, supervise, and or discipline his employees caused this violation of the victim's rights. So all of that to say, Judge Mullins and Sheriff Stein had quite the history together, and 3 days before this unaliving incident, Sheriff Steins actually gave a deposition for the lawsuit case. As of now, there is no connection from the lawsuit to this unaliving, but the lawsuit has been placed on pause until the parties of the lawsuit can determine if the unaliving is in any way connected to the lawsuit. And to be clear, I'm not saying there is a connection, I'm just giving you the information. So for now, the judge did determine that there is enough probable cause for this case to move forward to the next step.
Yeah, I agree. There's probable cause to proceed as murder.
Sure.
All right.
So I'm gonna keep you updated on this one.